Hello everyone, welcome back to the UCrew video lecture series. This video covers a very important topic, safety. These practices will help you stay safe whenever you're performing UCrew work. Additionally, a lot of these are just good safety practices for you to know as you continue on into industry and the professional world beyond the UCrew. With that in mind, let's begin. There are three main points I'd like you to think about during this presentation. That is, situational awareness, making sure you're aware of any hazards and can respond to them accordingly. Safety equipment, that you know how to use safety equipment and when and where it's applicable. And machinery mindfulness, basically don't touch any machinery. On every UCrew assessment, there's an assigned safety officer. This is a requirement from the Department of Energy. The safety officer has three duties: identify and communicate hazards to your entire team, ensuring team members are wearing PPE when required, and making sure all team members are being safe and reminding them to be safe when they're not. First off, there's some things that you just cannot bring on assessments. Any kind of illegal or controlled substances, including alcohol, are not allowed on campus while performing UCrew work in plants or traveling for UCrew. This is especially important since we're visiting industrial facilities and hazards do exist. You'll be perfectly fine if you're of sound mind and being aware of your surroundings, but it can get really dangerous really quick if you show up under the influence. Additionally, we want to make sure that you're engaged because customers and your supervisors will notice if you're not engaged, and that reflects poorly on you as well as on the UCrew and the other students you work with. The same rules apply for firearms, ammunition, and fireworks. There's no reason to have a weapon of any kind with you while you're performing UCrew work. Okay, back into some general safety guidelines. Particularly when you're on site, make sure that you 1. Pay attention in the plant, 2. Comply with safety requests from UCrew and especially from plant personnel. These people have a lot of experience in a place that you've never been to before, so they know where hazards exist and they know how to keep you safe. 3. Don't eat or drink anywhere you're not specifically told you're able to. We'll typically have a conference room reserved for us throughout the day, for example. You never know what can be floating around in the air in a production area, and we really don't want this to contaminate whatever you're consuming. And 4. Do not ever operate any plant equipment, including light switches. The last thing you want to do is flip a switch thinking you're going to turn off some lights and accidentally turn off an entire operating process. Even worse, you don't want to flip a switch and turn on a piece of equipment that someone is performing maintenance on or that people are looking at, because that puts lives in direct jeopardy. If you want to know how something operates, always talk to plant personnel first and have them do it. Now, some general injury and illness procedures. If you get injured or start to feel sick anytime you're doing something for the UCrew, please get the medical help that you need. Whether you're on campus or at a facility, be aware of safety stations, first aid locations, eye wash stations, and be prepared to use them or help one of your teammates access them should you need to. It's always better to know where it is and not need it rather than need it and not know where it is. With all the safety hazards, what are we allowed to wear when we visit sites? Let's start from the bottom and work our way up. Starting with shoes, they must be closed toe. Avoid tennis shoes and definitely avoid anything open toed, like sandals or Crocs. The reason for this is not only to be professional, but also because shoes protect us from anything bad that might be on the floor. There could be things like metal shavings or chemical spills on the floor, and if you were to accidentally walk into one of those, which you hopefully should notice and avoid, but just in case, we want to make sure that your feet are protected. Some facilities will require steel-toed shoes when we visit them, but most do not. If the assessment you're on does require them, we have some that you can borrow for the day if you don't have any. You must also wear long pants. Again, this is to protect you, particularly against sharp edges and hot surfaces. There are confined spaces that we sometimes go into, and if you bump into something, we want to make sure you have that extra layer of protection to keep you safe. Lastly, we have shirts. Make sure you're wearing a sleeved shirt with a collar. By sleeved, I don't mean that it has to go all the way to your wrist. You just can't be wearing tank tops, and no t-shirts either. Button-ups or polos are great. All these rules around clothes are fine, but what if I want to wear some accessories, some jewelry? Well, the answer is that it kind of depends. In general, you can't wear anything that's loose, dangling, or billowing, nothing that can get caught in moving machinery. The last thing you want is for something loose to get caught in something and you get dragged in along with it. Necklaces are totally fine as long as they're tucked into your shirt. Jackets need to be at least partially closed so they aren't flapping around. Drawstrings need to be taken out or tied up. And if you've got long hair, make sure that it's put up in a bun, ponytail, or restrained in some way. There's a lot of moving parts at these facilities, and we really want to make sure that no part of you can get caught in something. Now we're going to play a little game. I'm going to put up some pictures, and you decide whether or not the people in them are wearing appropriate clothing to go on a UCrew assessment. Without further ado, let's take a look at our first contestants. Okay, let's look at all these people having fun on the beach. Do we think they're ready for an assessment? Well, we can see they're wearing some shorts, and they've got some pretty loose, casual looking clothing. We've got some hair down and flying all over the place, and worst of all, no one's wearing shoes. So, no, these people are definitely not ready to go on an assessment. Well, how about these people hanging out, kicking a soccer ball around? Are they ready to go on a U-Crew assessment? Well, they are wearing shoes, so that's an improvement over the last group, but we're still looking pretty casual with the t-shirts, and especially with the ripped jeans. So, no, these people are not ready to go on an assessment. What about this group? They look pretty smart. I bet they can figure out some recommendations, right? You think they're ready to go? Well, they're wearing collars. We'll assume they're all wearing long pants and long sleeves. Their hair is restrained, and they're probably wearing closed-toed shoes. However, the lab coats do not meet the level of professionalism that the U-Crew is going for. We're energy consultants, not researchers, not lab technicians, so please do not show up wearing a lab coat. Okay, what about these nice looking young people? Do we think they're ready to go on an assessment? Almost, but not quite. See, it's their shoes that are the issue here. His shoes just don't look like they'd quite protect him enough if he were to step on some metal shrapnel, and she's wearing high heels. Please don't ever show up to an assessment wearing high heels. You'll most likely not be allowed on the manufacturing floor in the first place. Plus, we do a lot of walking throughout the day, and your feet will not be very happy with you by the end of it. All right, what about this guy? Could this be our person? Is he ready to go on an assessment? Yeah, well, he's got the collared shirt, long pants, no dangling hair or jewelry. We can't see his shoes, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and assume he's wearing closed-toed shoes. So, yes, I think this person is ready to go on a U-Crew assessment. Now that we've figured out what kind of clothing we can wear, how about PPE? Anytime you visit a plant, safety glasses and earplugs will be provided to you, either by the plant or by the U-Crew. If you have prescription non-safety glasses or contacts, please wear plant-provided goggles over your glasses or shields. Shields are those little side buffers that go on the sides of glasses, although you will have to supply those yourself. If you have some personal prescription safety glasses, that's totally fine, and you're welcome to bring those. Just make sure they meet the plant safety requirements before you show up. Ear protection, again, will be provided to you. If you've never used these kinds of earplugs, it's pretty simple. You just roll the end of it between your fingers to make it smaller, put them into your ears, and let the foam expand to the shape of your ear canal. If that explanation didn't make sense, don't worry, there'll be someone there to help you out. The main takeaway here is that you'll always be notified if and when you need safety glasses and hearing protection, and it will always be provided to you. You don't need to worry about bringing this on your own. Getting more into the general safety hazards we see here, there are unknown materials that you will encounter on assessments. When it comes to solid surfaces, there's a lot of pipes, tanks, vats, furnaces, things like that can be hot. So please don't touch anything unless you know for a fact that it is safe to do so. The best way to do this is talking to facility personnel, or take the measurement yourself. We typically bring equipment like thermal cameras, infrared thermometers, or thermocouples, so one of those can ensure that a surface isn't going to burn you. Another important topic are exhausts and air moving equipment. Anytime you see a stream of air, please try to avoid it. A lot of times these can be hazardous as they contain toxic or hot gases like steam leaking out of pipes that can cause severe burns. If you ever have to go in the airstream, do your best to look away and protect your eyes from anything getting in there that can hurt you. And also make sure to hold on to any loose items. You don't want any of those blowing away and getting lost in the manufacturing area. All right, machinery. We love looking at machinery, we love getting close to it, but we have to do it safely. If you see a piece of equipment that you think is off, do not trust it. Do not give it the benefit of the doubt. A lot of machinery runs intermittently, or it may start suddenly, and you really don't want to be anywhere near it when this happens, because if you get stuck in the machine, you're going to have a bad time. Some ways to avoid any accidents from happening: do not get close or otherwise put any part of your body potentially in harm's way. Never reach across or lean across any machinery capable of movement. And always speak with facility personnel to make sure something is safe and not in operation. All right, this just might be the most important slide in the entire presentation, so please pay attention to this. Never, ever deal directly with electrical equipment. Electricity is really scary and it's really dangerous, and here at the U-Crew, it is not your responsibility to work with. You do not get paid enough, you are not qualified, so please don't mess with it. The reason we bring this up is because to perform our assessments, we often have to measure power draw from equipment. We do this by putting what's called a current transducer clamp, or CT clamp, which you can see over here, around the wire that runs electricity into the equipment. However, it is not your job to do this. There will always be knowledgeable plant personnel, such as an electrician, that will take care of this. Your job is to simply observe. Now, we do want you to be prepared for the worst, so if you see someone that is suffering from electric shock, do not touch them. If you touch them, you're part of the circuit now too, and you really don't want to be part of that circuit. The best thing to do is get a non-conducting object, such as a wooden broom handle or a plastic pipe, and use this to move them away from the electricity source. You will occasionally see welders on assessments. Pretty easy safety precaution here, just don't look at the arc, as this can cause blindness and some other really nasty forms of eye damage. Now, the thing to know here is this isn't like looking at the sun, where you know you're not supposed to, but a quick peek probably isn't going to do too much damage. Welding arcs can be as hot as the surface of the sun, but instead of being 100 million miles away, it's in the same room as you. So they can cause instantaneous and permanent damage to your vision. Next, we're going to talk about roofs. Sometimes when we're lucky, we do occasionally get to head up to the roof of the facility, usually to scope out some HVAC equipment. The main concerns here are furnaces and steeply pitched roofs. Anytime there's a furnace, you want to avoid that part of the roof. That's because the heat from the furnace can cause the metal to warp and soften over time, which can increase your chances of falling through the roof and right into the furnace, which is somewhere you don't want to be. Additionally, you want to avoid steeply pitched roofs. Especially here in Utah in the winter, roofs can get icy and slippery, and that dramatically increases your risk of falling. Anytime you're in an area with no guardrails, such as loading docks or flat roofs, make sure you stay 6 feet or more away from the edge. Especially in areas that are very much elevated, make sure there's somebody at the bottom just to notify other people that you're up there and make sure people are away in case some object comes falling down. When it comes to fear of heights, if you don't want to go somewhere high, that's no problem. We're not going to kick you off the team or force you anywhere you aren't willing to go. You can just wait at the bottom, we'll do our work at the top, and we'll come back down when we're done. You do not have to worry about this affecting your employment opportunity here. Anytime you are going up onto one of these elevated walkways, make sure you have both hands free, you have both hands on the stairs or ladders, and you're going up one step at a time. I know it sounds silly, but you don't want to lose your footing, fall, and accidentally land on someone below you. Ladder safety. This is a big one. Per the CDC, 500,000 people go to the hospital every single year in the US just for ladder-related injuries. That's not just falls, that's only falls from ladders. So make sure you take this seriously. Anytime there's a ladder, make sure there's only one person on it, and make sure someone is at the bottom holding it still for you. Don't skip rungs, just go up one at a time. You don't want to accidentally fall on anyone below you. Keep your body's center of gravity between the rails, and please don't be leaning over the edge trying to look at something or get some sort of vantage. Specifically for step ladders and extension ladders, make sure there's someone bracing the bottom. If there's an extension, make sure it's locked in place. Make sure the ladder is placed on an even surface, and as I'm sure your mom told you 1,000 times, don't stand on the top 2 rungs. What about when we're walking around inside the plant? What do we have to be concerned about? Well, the first thing you got to look out for is cranes and hoists. First of all, don't mess with it. You don't want to be the cause of an accident there. Additionally, you don't want to walk under any sort of suspended load. We trust that it won't fall, but it's not a chance you want to take. Additionally, as we've already mentioned, you got to look out for metal shavings on the floor. These things can cut through shoes, and cuts can easily get infected. I know people that have came home from assessments with bits carved out of the soles of their shoes. So again, please make sure you're wearing some solid closed-toed shoes on assessments, and watch out for shavings while you're walking. Last are spills on the floor. Please, anytime you see a spill on the floor, go around it, particularly when you don't know what it is. You don't want to walk over some volatile chemical that can poison you, and you don't want to accidentally step into something that'll corrode through your shoes. Anytime you see a spill on the floor, the best thing to do is avoid it completely. All right, everyone, we made it. Let's go through a quick summary of what we've learned in this presentation. Number 1, be aware of your surroundings and existing hazards, and listen to facility staff regarding safety guidelines. These people know how to keep you safe, and they just want to keep you safe. Number 2, when you show up on site at a client's facility, please arrive in professional, manufacturing appropriate attire. No loose or dangling items. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask any of your new coworkers or your team lead. Facility staff also love to see U of U gear. They love to see representation of the college they're working with. So a nice polo with a Utah logo is highly encouraged. Number 3, please don't touch any equipment without consulting facility staff. This is for your safety, other people's safety, as well as just for the plant's operation in general. You don't want to interfere with any of that. And lastly, never ever directly interact with any electrical equipment when placing data loggers or any other devices, or in any other scenario not listed here. Electricity is scary, and you're not an electrician. Safety is always the #1 priority, so I truly hope that you absorbed some of the information from this presentation. Go do some good work and stay safe. Thank you.